Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of pdxMindShares, a podcast sponsored by Anvil Media, a digital ad agency in Portland, Oregon, and we're giving Portland career tips to help you get hired. Hello. I hope you all are returning to work by the time you guys listen to this. We've gotten reports that companies are reopening and their employees are returning to work in the office, 6 feet apart, but together. Today we're going to talk about resumes and cover letters. Really important topic. They seem really basic, but a lot of people struggle with writing a really good cover letter or an eye-catching resume, and getting hired is really dependent upon these two documents. So I have a few tips for how to improve your resumes and your cover letters. Let's start with cover letter, because that's going to go first in your list of documents that you create while you're on your job search. First tip I have for you guys is show, don't tell. And that means in your cover letter, when you want to speak to a bullet point in the job description, like you're an energetic motivator of the team, don't just say that. Tell a story of a time that you motivated your team on a day when they were really stressed out, or when they were given a tough task or a tough project that perhaps they didn't want to do. They didn't feel motivated, they didn't understand the point, and they had been working long hours on this and they were just losing their drive. My second tip would be to keep in mind that this is your cover for the story that your resume is going to tell. All resumes should tell a story, like a narrative, as opposed to just bullet points of facts. When a hiring manager finishes with your resume, they should have very clearly in their mind this story or this narrative of Joe or Jane, how they started out, how they've grown through their career. And every story needs a cover, right? So your cover letter is going to be a quick, here's what you're about to see when you see my resume. My next tip is no cliches. It's okay to write those in your outline, but as you're going through the editing process, find a unique or more eye-catching way of saying what you want to say and cut out those cliches. And lastly, end with a CTA, a call to action. What do you want them to do with this information now that they've read your cover letter? The best call to action, and the one every cover letter should contain, is something that prompts them to call you. You want them to call you or email you next steps. Now let's talk about resumes real quick. With resumes, the key point to focus on is you want to brag about yourself, right? You want them to know you're not just any job seeker looking for a software engineer position. You are the bomb software engineer. You are the one they've been looking for. You are going to rock their world if they hire you. Next, definitely proofread. This gets missed quite a bit, even by professional writers like myself. Always proofread. This is your first impression, and this is sometimes the only impression you're going to get with certain companies, as this is the deciding factor for whether or not they're going to call you and continue on with the interview process. And while you're proofreading, look for opportunities where you can be more concise. If there's something that can be said in a more fluid, concise manner, definitely do that. A great way to put this is every word should earn its place on your resume. It shouldn't be a lengthy, long description. Every word has to work for it to earn its spot on your resume. These hiring managers don't have a whole lot of time, so they want to be able to quickly peruse through. Next, I would say format your resume to the industry that you're applying for. So, a software engineer and a project manager in a creative field would both have two very different resumes in regards to format. Take a look at examples online of other resumes for that particular position that you're applying for. They will give you a good idea of the appropriate format for you. Lastly, be honest. We all know that we exaggerate on our resumes and make ourselves sound way cooler than we are, and that's fine. Exaggeration is normal. Lying is not okay. You do need to be able to know how to do the job when you're writing your resume. So what's the difference? Instead of garbage man, you're applying to be a sanitation officer. That's exaggeration, right? You're making your job sound way cooler than it is. But you're still saying you know how to do the job. That is the job. But you're just making yourself sound a little prettier, a little more flowery. And that kind of ties into bragging about yourself, right? You don't want to mitigate or diminish the responsibilities that you have or the job positions that you've had. You want to make them sound awesome and let them know you have experience and know what you're doing. But definitely don't lie and say that you know how to do something you've never done before. Thank you for joining us and listening to our third episode of pdxMindShares. I hope you all enjoy your return to work. And again, we're sponsored by Anvil Media, and this is pdxMindShares giving Portland career tips to help you guys get hired. And don't forget to check us out online at pdxMindShare.com and read more of our tips on our blog at pdxMindShare.com/our-blog.